Hey friends, I was doing the second part. I don't even know if you guys just heard me because I realized my shockwaves, which are my earbuds that are much safer when you're running and walking because they don't go in your ear, um, is actually my microphone because I was just messing around on TikTok, absolutely doing nothing. Um, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. So I did a video. This is part two. Well, not part two. I'm gonna tack it on to the other video about Nordic walking. So I wanted to give you some background on it because I got into it and I really enjoy it. But I feel like a lot of people just don't know what it is. So I have two things I'm just going to read off to you real quick that gives you some background. I'll put it in the show notes if you guys want to click on it. One is from Harvard Health Publishing, which is like a almost like a bloggy type thing from Harvard Medical School. So I had read this quick little article when I was first sort of researching it. I'm not going to read it word for word or anything, but I want to give you some of the benefits of it. So basically, this was actually looks like it was published June 29th of 2022, so it's fairly recent. So what it says here is that Nordic walking originally, I believe, was sort of, I guess, not created or founded. I don't know. It's Finnish, Finland. I know I had said I kind of lumped a bunch of like sort of dramatic people together, whether it's Germans or Danes or Swedes or whatever the case may be. I know it's much bigger over there, but evidently it came from Finland. Um, Basically, there's this cardiologist named Aaron Bagish. He spent a whole bunch of time in Switzerland, and he said it's Nordic walking is kind of something that a lot of older people do, to the point where like you would go to like a certain train station or whatever it was to go up this mountain, and you'd see a bunch of people just with like these Nordic poles. So basically, what we're going to go over is sort of the benefits. I'm going to do a direct quote here on this one. So, Nordic walking combines cardiovascular exercise with a vigorous muscle workout for your shoulders, arms, cores, and legs. So, when you walk without poles, you activate muscles below the waist. When you add Nordic poles, you activate all the muscles of the upper body as well, says this Dr. Baggish guy. So, you're engaging 80 to 90% of your muscles as opposed to 50%, providing a substantial calorie benefit. So they do go into some of the percentages in terms of how much more calories, and it can vary anywhere from 18 to 60 something percent. So you're still going to burn more calories than if that's what you're looking for in terms of cardio using Nordic poles. Basically, he goes into lots of different reasons that Nordic walking is good for you, but also, I mean, that a lot of those things can sort of connect to any cardio sort of being good for you. So, associated with lowering fat, lowering bad cholesterol, helping with depression, anxiety, chronic pain, so on and so forth. I mean, a lot of that is just any kind of exercise. I don't want to say this is the exercise and have everybody jump on the bandwagon of this being the next great thing. First off, this is something that's fairly well known in other countries and not in the States. And therefore, excuse me guys, I'm sleepy today. I don't want you to think it's like the next best thing. Exercise is exercise. If all you can do is go for a walk, do it in terms of your hip and joint health. I think that walking with the Nordic poles helps if you have problems with your hands, with your grip because of the way the glove is. But you can also sort of get away with doing it with trekking poles, and that'll just give you some better balance. He does say that another added benefit is you're much more stable walking with the poles than you are without. Which, just funny enough, I was in the kitchen today, and like, I don't know, I was just doing like food preppy stuff, getting a cup of coffee and like moving stuff around, and I didn't have my cane with me because, as usual, I keep forgetting it all the time. And I kind of did this like slight like side shuffle and realized, ooh, I'm toppling over. I didn't fall. I just did this weird like thing. So in terms of being able to get cardio and feel safer about it, I think the poles help. Um, so he does talk about how these poles, especially since he was in Switzerland, are much different than just a trekking poles. But I also don't want you to have to go out and buy poles if you can't afford it. Um, so in that essence, if you feel like you want to give it a try and you happen to have some trekking poles for hiking and they have that strap, you can definitely start with that. Like start with that and see how it feels. Because like I said, the first time I did the workout, I thought, oh, this is BS. This is just walking with poles. And I was sweating. And all I did was like a quick 20-minute, like, I was like, oh, I'm just going to go for a 20-minute walk. And it was really, really hard. Sorry, guys. I don't sleep at night anymore because of the pain. So I'm always tired. He does talk about other techniques. The only time I do something called double poling, which is where you kind of have the poles out in front of you and you is like if I'm walking on a dirt track or something like that, and I happen to come near like a piece of cement or pavement, I'll do that. I don't know why I do that. Honestly, I don't know if there's any reason. Maybe I was just like, this seems like what I want to do. Either way, it doesn't matter. So double polling, you can do this thing where you like have the poles in front of you, walk 3 steps. So that's a technique. I just do the skiing like approach. And basically, he had said that it doesn't take much to get started. He really recommends it. The Dr. Bagish really recommends it if you have balance issues. Like I said, it's helped quite a bit in making me feel safer about sort of leaving the house and going for a long walk, and being able to uh, feel pretty safe about not falling. Basically, just dress comfortably, stay hydrated, do a bit of a warm up, do your walk, do a cool down, and then you're good to go. So some of the background on Nordic walking, like I said, Finnish. It's done by, this is from Wikipedia. I'm not getting anything super special here. I just wanted to give you some history. I cannot say what it's called in Finnish, so I'm not going to. It was basically fitness walking, specially designed with specially designed poles. They've been used, so they do attribute it to the fact that backpackers, skiers, and trekkers have been using Nordic walking for years and years, basically to sort of cross train out of season. And that's why I think it's so much bigger in countries where like skiing and cross country skiing and things like that are a little bit more prevalent. I live in the South, so skiing's not that big of a deal. But even up north, when we lived up north and people went skiing, I've never heard of anyone talk about Nordic walking. So basically, there was one publication. Also, can't say this. I'm very sorry. I don't speak any of these languages. So, this person named Maury Repo, and I don't know their gender, so I don't know to prefer if it's a he or she. So I'm just going to say they. They said Nordic walking's concept was developed by the basis of the off-season ski training activity using one-piece ski poles. So back then, it was just whatever ski poles you had is what you used in terms of Nordic walking, which is why I said don't worry about buying special poles. So I mean, if you have ski poles, by all means use ski poles. It's just gonna be weird on like the pavement if you're doing it that way. It's gonna make like a weird clicking noise, but essentially, There are whole countries that belong to like the International Nordic Walking Federation, and I don't believe America's on here. Absolutely not. They're not. So this says the cadences of the arms, legs, and body are rhythmically speaking similar to those used in normal, vigorous walking. The range of arm movement regulates the length of the stride. Restricted arm movement will mean a naturally restricted pelvic motion and stride length. So the longer the pole thrust, the longer the stride, the more powerful the swing of the pelvis and the upper torso. So um, it is. I really enjoy it. Like I said, this is not something that you necessarily compete in or whatever, but if you're looking for something to cross train, or if you're looking for a way to deal with the fact that you have limited movement because you're about to have hip surgery or knee surgery, and you want a way, because they tell you, oh, you got to keep moving, you got to keep walking, and that's because this small amount of sort of, I guess, cartilage or goo in between your joints still needs movement to keep it sort of lubricated. So the more you move, the better it is. Hence why I said it's easier for me to keep moving. So if you're looking for something like that, I definitely say give Nordic walking a try. You're going to be one of the only people out there doing it. I think my wife said once that on her way to work, she works in a bit of a sort of rich, kind of bougie section of where we live. And she said she saw a woman doing Nordic walking, and it was the first time that she's seen anyone else doing it. I've never seen anyone else doing it. I always get looks from people, but also I don't care what people think of me, and that's a good way to be. You need to do what's good for you and not care if you look cute about it. You're about to get a new hip or a new knee. Nothing about this is cute. So I would definitely say look into it. It's been really, really helpful. It's a good workout, even if you're not dealing with any issues and you just want to cross train. A lot of ultra runners are going to be getting into this. There's a few that I've seen here and there. They use trekking poles now, and they've sort of had to go get training with Nordic walkers to show how they're going to because there's a way to run and gallop and do all sorts of stuff with this. I don't do any of that because I'll just fall on my face. So but a lot of ultra runners are using poles now in their races. So I think you're going to see a lot more of this coming about. So if this video, if you think this video would be helpful to someone who's in the situation of getting a hip replacement, knee replacement, has some kind of issue like MS, lupus, any kind of autoimmune issue where we have problems with our balance, if you think they would benefit from this video, please share it with them. I'm only making them to help other people. Anytime that I put any kind of link to a product, it is because I have used it, and I'm going to tell you the truth about it. So I will include a link to the poles that I use, and I'm also going to put a link to the hiking poles that I use for my everyday walking. And if you feel like clicking on that link, I get a tiny little percentage in terms of money, to come back at me. But I'm only going to put stuff on there that benefits people. So again, like, subscribe. I don't know the whole thing. I don't know. Like and subscribe. That sounds right. Anyway, share it if you think it'll help someone. Take care, guys.